See this handsome man? This is me husband.
Hello, I am husband.
He is also your husband now.
What? I didn't agree to that. All right, move on. What do you want to talk about?
There's something I need to tell you. I am pretty obsessed with true crime. Not like solving them, but like knowing about them.
It's true. She listens to him whenever she cooks, takes a shower, does her makeup, folds things, drives, probably other things too.
You know what? I was thinking to myself one day, I want to do it. So here we are, doing it.
Yay!
Woo, woo, woo. Ooh. I'm a little nervous. Today we're going to be talking about a serial killer who changed Japan's abortion laws. But how it happened is terrible.
Terrible.
This story is pretty horrible. So trigger warning, we're going to be talking about death of children. So if this is a very sensitive topic for you, I would suggest you click out. Let's start off. The year was 1945.
Okay.
Don't look at my notes. Don't read my notes. Pretend they're not there.
Okay.
I'm trying my best. Now tell me, honey, what happened in 1945?
There was a war.
Which war?
Yes. Nailed it.
1945 was when World War II ended. Now, in World War II, whose side was Japan on?
Germany?
Good guess. You didn't seem very confident in yourself.
I was.
I can hear it. So things were clearly not looking so good for Japan after World War II. So all the men who have survived the war, they're coming home now. And what do you usually do when you get home? What to your loved one that you haven't seen in a while?
You make it the lovins. You make it the kids. You do the thing.
You do the hokey pokey?
Yes.
Yes, you are correct. People got it on, which led to the baby boom of Japan.
Well, it happened everywhere, right?
Yeah,
It's not just Japan.
It wasn't just Japan. It was everywhere. That's why they call it the baby boomers. Here's the problem though. Because of the war, Japan was completely destroyed. People had no food, no homes, nothing. And because everybody came home and started making babies, they had nothing to take care of the baby with.
So what did they do?
They started to abandon their babies. And I know that sounds really harsh, but you gotta think of what was happening in that time. Like, they didn't have the resources, they didn't have anything to take care of these babies.
That's sad.
It is really sad. People were abandoning their kids in like maternity hospitals. One of these maternity wards was the Kotobuki Maternity Hospital. And the main caretaker and midwife there was named Miyuki Ishikawa. There isn't much information on Miyuki. She was born in 1897. She graduated from the University of Tokyo. I'm going to assume she had like a pretty decent life. And she was married to Takeshi Ishikawa.
Did he go to the same school?
I have no idea. There's not much information about Miyuki, just what she's done. Keep in mind, this is all taking place around the 1940s, right? Because of the war. So all these people were dropping off their babies at the hospital, and Miyuki and her husband were just taking care of it, if you know what I mean.
That sounds bad.
It is bad, because what they were really doing was killing these babies. They saw it as a solution to a problem. They didn't have any money to take care of the baby. Even the parents didn't have any money to take care of the babies. So their solution was to kill them off, which is really fucked up. Now the thing is, she wasn't even the only person doing this. In the 1930s, the people of Itabashi were accused of murdering 41 foster children.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and in 1933, Hatsutaro Kawabata was arrested for killing 25 foster children. So this was not a new case.
So a lot of people were doing it.
A lot of people were doing it. And the reason why we're talking about Miyuki today is because she and her husband took it to a whole new level.
Were they like just widely known in the public for doing it?
I wouldn't say that, because what was really happening was once they got like the hang of doing it, they started charging parents. Her husband would literally go around telling parents like, if you give us your kid and pay us for it, we'll take care of it and it'll be cheaper than raising this kid to adulthood.
So yeah, they are kind of known for it in the public eye. Like everybody kind of knew what was happening.
So the thing is, like, people in the community knew, people who worked in a hospital knew. Like the other midwives, there's been a couple of them who actually quit because they're like, this is really wrong. Now, how they were getting away with these murders was they were actually working closely with the doctor, Shiro Nakayama. This doctor would fake death certificates. He would lie about how these babies died. So they did this for a while and nobody caught on. This went on until 1948, because on January 12, 1948, these two police officers found the remains of 5 infants.
They even try to like separate them. It's like a go-to place for them to dispose of the babies.
I guess they were just doing it for so long, they just willy-nilly just left them anywhere.
Yeah.
Like thinking that nobody cared and they weren't gonna get in trouble.
Or maybe they thought that everybody was fine with it. Like, oh, this is how it is.
Yeah, because around that time, it was not a rare thing to find bodies, you know, because people were starving to death. So some days you could walk down the street and you could find a deceased body.
That's scary. I'd be traumatized.
I bet these people were. It was a hard time. It was definitely not something that anybody ever should have to live through. Now, the police officers took these infants and they took them to get autopsies. And all these autopsies show that these babies did not die from natural causes. So they started an investigation. None of my sources say how long it took, but it did lead them back to Miyuki, and I would say pretty quickly. Because shortly after they arrested Miyuki, they arrested her husband and they arrested the doctor. Now, when they arrested them, they searched all the properties and they estimated about 103 to 169 babies buried on this property. There were 40 bodies in the doctor's house and around 30 bodies buried all around the temple. How do you live in a house knowing that like you did these awful things and then now you're just hiding the evidence in your house?
I wonder if the house is still there.
Now, during the trial, Miyuki's defense was like, it wasn't my fault. It's the parents' fault. They're the one who abandoned them in the first place.
I guess she's technically not wrong, but she still did the deed, you know?
But they were charging people though. So I do think like it is her fault. Maybe when she first started, like I'm not trying to defend her or anything like that, right? Like maybe in the beginning she was like, okay, I don't have any way to feed these kids. And her mind just went to like, it's better off to kill them. But then to go and charge people for your services?
Yeah.
The crazy thing is, when the public found out, they weren't even mad at her. They were like, yeah, I understand. I see why she did it.
Yeah, that probably means that the problem of not having food was just so big that everybody just kind of understood. They didn't want to do it, but they understood how she got there so quickly.
So Miyuki was only sentenced for 8 years in prison. Yeah, only 8 years. She was charged with crimes of omission, which is basically a U.S. equivalent to involuntary manslaughter. And her husband and the doctor were charged for 4 years.
Oh, wow.
The thing is, they didn't even serve the full sentence. And then she just disappeared.
What do you mean she...
Like nobody heard from her ever again.
That's weird. You think she changed her name, or they just didn't want to talk about her anymore? Because they just wanted to like cover up this moment in history or something.
Oh no, because she made history after this.
Oh.
Now, after all this, the Japanese government was like, wait a damn minute. There's something going on here. This woman literally murdered hundreds of babies and the public is not mad. So that means there's an issue with the laws.
Oh, yeah.
So on July 13th, 1948, just 6 months after they found those first 5 bodies, the Japanese government passed what is now called the Mother's Bodies Protection Act, which led to the legalization of abortions in 1949, which is the year after.
Oh, wow.
Like, they got things done quick.
Yeah, they just didn't want it to happen again, obviously, and that's a lot of deaths.
Can you imagine, just from the parents' point of view, the mothers who carried these babies, carried them for all 9 months, gave birth to them, and were not able to feed them? Imagine how traumatizing that is for the mother.
Yeah, I can't even imagine that, but that sounds very intense. Sounds very sad.
I'm so glad they passed this law. Like, I'm so glad they took action right away.
Yeah, they saved a lot of families too, and I bet like, you know, so many people didn't have to go through that trauma of like holding their baby and then saying, oh, I can't take care of this baby, there's no food for any of us.
Yeah, and can you imagine, like, what if some of these parents were like, oh, I'm gonna give my baby to this hospital, and when I'm settled and ready to like take care of that baby again, I want to go back and I want to see my baby. But then when they go back, someone had already murdered them. That's fucked up.
Yeah.
I'm really glad they call it the Mother's Bodies Protection Law, because at the end of the day, you know, those mothers, they're human. You know, they don't want to lose a baby that they birth, you know, then they can't take care of like that. You want to protect the people who's already alive. I don't understand why people are so obsessed with the egg and the sperm connecting. If you truly cared about babies, think of all the babies and the kids who end up in foster care, who end up in a system. Real life isn't a movie. Like Shazam. Like Shazam is like a fairy tale, literally a fairy tale about adoption. That is not how that system works. The foster care system is dark and it is scary and it is tragic. Kids who don't get adopted, they're just tossed out into the world and saying, good luck, fuck you. Don't fucking say you care about babies if you're not gonna care about the kid that baby turns into. You're not gonna care about the adult that kid turns into. This topic really makes me really sad. It makes me really upset. I chose this story first because I want people to really think. I want you guys to really think about this. Like really think about how fucked up this is. Around 9 million children in the entire US suffers from hunger. That should not be an issue. That blows my mind.
That's a lot of kids. It's a lot of families.
I know. Take care of the ones who are alive now. Stop fucking worrying about a goddamn egg and sperm.
I remember when I was little and I was hungry and I didn't have anything to eat, I would get those Kraft single squares and I would just fold them until I get like a tower of little tiny cubes. And the smaller it was, the longer it lasted. So I just eat that like that.
Okay, well, thank you for watching this video. If you're offended by this, I hope you're offended by all the kids that's suffering right now. Okay, bye.